What do you wish you knew what you know now when you were younger? There is a song that I like called Ooh La La. It's sang by rock and roll band of the Faces in the middle of 1970. Well, in this song, the singers they begin with a memory of a grandfather. Poor granddad, I left all his word. I thought that he was a bitter man. The widow called the rod sang, I wish I knew what I know now when I was younger. I wish I knew what I know now when I was stronger. I don't know about you, but I do have many wishes that I'd known now and when I was more younger. We are living in the world we are living in the finite world, which means our human lifespan is limited, and our resources are finite. But we often forget about the reality. The end is coming. We live as if we are never going to die. We use the resources around us as if they were never going to run out. How can we live our life as Christians faithfully in our context today? That's what we are going to share through the text. Today's story is called the Parable of the Talents. This parable is one of the most abused and misinterpreted texts in the New Testament. Many people want to hear the gospel of economic prosperity, and some preachers talk about it through this parable. Let's look at verse 29. It says, those who have much will receive more, and they will have more than they need. But as for those who don't have much, even the little bit they have will be taken away from them. It creates lots of questions. Is this master the one we are waiting for? A God we worship? If so, what kind of an image of God do we get from here? A God who rewards the rich, make them richer, and condemning the poor, only making them the poorer? Does he really talk and justify the rich get richer, the poor get poorer? What does this parable of talent really talk about? So it has a lot of questions. The word talent came into English language in the Middle Ages as a term for God-given ability or grace and gift. We speak of a person as being talented or having many talents. But in the biblical time of the Gospel of Matthew, the word talent has been used as a unit of a currency. Some scholars say it is equal to 60 denarius or 6,000 denarius. At the time, day of wage was 1 denarius. So it could be 2 months of salary or 15 years of salary. It could be a lot of money. But main point of the parable is not about the money, but how to live faithfully and endure the difficulties while the master is gone, while we are waiting for the Lord's return. So let's look at the text. And verse 14, verse 14 has a many different interpretations. And NIV says, it will be like a man going on a journey. And NRSV says, for it is as if a man going on a journey. So what is it in here? So if you have a Bible with you and look at the chapter 25 in the very beginning, in the verse 1, it says, at the time, the kingdom of heaven will be like. So it's talking about the kingdom life. So Jesus is telling us the principle of the kingdom of heaven. In chapter 24 and 25, Jesus reveals his departure. And he instructed his disciples to endure difficulties while he is gone. So disciples want to know when. But Jesus says in verse 13, keep alert because you don't know the day or the hour. So on the following verse 14, the kingdom of heaven is like a man who was living on a trip. So what do we learn from here? We can notice that the master left. And the purpose of that he was leaving is for the trip. So that means he's going to return, right? But the problem is nobody knows the time. Nobody knows when he is going to return. Can you imagine the life of waiting without knowing when? One day, I went to the Michigan Lake with a kayak for fishing while Maria was in Korea a couple of weeks ago. And Maria knew that I was going to go to the kayak fishing, and she had some concern about that. And I had a good time, and after the fishing, I met some friend there, and we had a phone conversation. While I was talking with my friend, and Maria called to home by using the internet phone, but no answer. And escalating her anxiety and frustration, and finally he called very expensive international phone call to my cellular. Where are you? When I answered, that was the first question. So all of a sudden I remember. Oh yeah, I'm still here in the Waukegan, and so with a friend, and so, okay, I see. And then quickly she hung up after she learned my safety. That was it. Waiting is just hard. Then how can you wait the Lord's return without knowing the time? What does faithfulness mean in times of waiting? When do I need to stop doing what is wrong and start doing what is right? How can I do what I really want to do and still have a time to turn my life around and prepare the judgment day? So that's a question and dilemma for all of us. So according to the parable, there are 3 servants who have received a large amount of money from the master according to their ability. And 2 of them work hard, and as the master entrusted them. When the master returned, they were able to return the double amount. Both of them received the same reward to enter the joy of a celebration with the master and being called a good and faithful servant. But third servant, the last servant, hide the money. He thought it was safe, not to lose what was entrusted in him. and he's able to return the whole amount. But he received a severe punishment and being called, "You evil and lazy servant." So what do you learn from here? First, in order to be a good and faithful servant, waiting should be active, not just passively doing what we used to do no matter what. Master didn't give any instructions what has to be done with the money. Therefore, faithfulness is not just following the direction, but each one of us has to discern what we have received, those God-given talent, and live faithfully. Of course, there will be some risk and challenges, but we are in charge to take care of those people and things around us. And another lesson we may learn from the third servant is, he didn't receive the severe punishment because he didn't make any profits. The master knew their ability, so he gave them according to their ability. The problem of this third servant was the lack of faith. He didn't trust the Lord. And he didn't do anything. He just buried the talent that he received. So where did he go wrong? It's from the wrong relationship with the master. He was not thankful that he received anything from the master. We can see another example of unfaithful servant from the chapter 24. This unfaithful servant and began to beat other fellow servant and eat and drink with other drunk, all because he thought master won't come until late. So here is a choice that we can make. Am I going to accept and follow the characteristics of the masters? We can see from the first two servants, and participate the joy of a celebration with him and his generosity? Or am I going to stay as a disconnected life with the master? So no matter who you are, no matter where you are at, the good news is God is telling us, God is calling us this morning to live faithfully and endure difficulties and great risk we have. In the song, the Ulala, that I mentioned in the beginning, the singer began with the memory of a poor granddad. In the middle of the song, so now he become a grandfather. And then singing. Let's listen to that, the music, the Ulala. like this dialogue between grandpa and grandson. In life, there are many things that we learn with the regrets. But do we have to learn only by this way? By saying someday again, I wish I knew what I know now when I was younger, when I was stronger, when I was able to do it? No, you don't have to. You don't have to live like that. So let us face the reality. Some of you might be uncomfortable about the waiting for the master's return in this parable of the talents as a Lord's return. Then here's some good news to hear that. The God who knows, I mean, the one we are waiting for, His return, knows not only our ability, but our weakness, and He knows our brokenness and our pains. Because He created us, because He suffered us, He suffered for us on the cross, and He is with us. Let me share some the quote from the famous Brazilian novelist. His name Paulo Coelho. He says, "Our contradictions. We are in such a hurry to grow up, and then we long for our lost childhood. We make ourselves ill earning money, and then spend all our money on getting well again. We think so much about the future that we neglect the present, and thus experience neither the present nor the future. We live as if we are never going to die, and die as if we had never lived." Many of us in here might have some regrets in life. But let us face the reality so that we don't have to repeat that again someday. I wish that I knew what I know now when I was younger or 10 years ago. Obviously, as you come into this place of worship, you can feel the different season. Yes, we are entering into the season of winter. Before it goes to cold, before it freezes everything, let us remember the relationship that we need to restore with God and with others. That's what God is telling us, this parable of talents, and calling us. So, would you answer His call? You might have someone in your heart, or something you have in mind with a God's whisper. There, some message of what God is telling you. So let's take a moment to pray.